YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Tom Hanks. I hope everyone is off to finishing their week. I like to say it's been a crazy week here in the United States. We had Monday off celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King and all the things that he did for our country. So you know how it is when you have one day off in the week, it just throws off the whole rest of your week. So I just know it's Thursday because I'm here with you and it's Kari's Corner. I'm so excited. We had such an awesome show last week with Meredith from Pearson PTE. We have so many fun things lined up for you this year. I'm super excited. So if you are new to the show, if you've never joined us before, please make sure you drop in the chat. Tell me your name, tell me where you're watching from, all of those fun things, because we do love to see that worldwide is truly that we are worldwide. I love to see where everybody's from. It just gets me super hyped. And here where I live, it is super cold right now. So if you're in a really warm country, I'm going to be really jealous of you right now. But let's get through some announcements before I bring on today's very special guest. I am super, super, super excited to be joined yet again in my corner. So thankful, but you got to listen to these announcements first. We do have the new NCLEX Center in Nairobi, Kenya, St. Lucia. Oh, the first one. Come on, St. Lucia. So jealous of you right now, but that is beautiful. Thanks for tuning in today. We do have the new NCLEX Test Center in Nairobi, Kenya. They did break ground on it, so it's there, but they're not accepting bookings yet. So if you would like to keep updated on when you're able to book for the NCLEX in Nairobi, Kenya, make sure you're following us, obviously, on our social medias. We are on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. If it is a social media presence, we are there. Make sure you're following us, or you can also follow Pearson View. Remember, that's different from the PTE. Pearson View for any of their updates as well. Hello in Brazil. Thank you so much for joining. Hello in Pakistan. Thank you so much for watching this morning in Abu Dhabi. Again, Saul, hey Saul in Pakistan, thanks so much for joining this morning. So happy that you're here. Obviously, if you're in Brazil, the Nairobi, Kenya NCLEX Test Center is probably not going to be super beneficial for you. So if you have any questions about those test centers, though, Pearson View website is where you want to check out for any of those updates as well. But again, our social media. Hello in the UK. Hello in the UK. Oh, the UK. What a beautiful. I bet it's cold there too, though. I bet you're bundled up. I have my clipboard of all my important announcements. That's how busy we are. The PNAA conference in Iloilo City in the Philippines. That's happening January 25th and 26th. If you would like to see Sir Ron Hoppy in the flesh, he will be there. Now, I love Sir Ron Hoppy. I do. I love Ron. But if you go, you will also meet Miko, who is our marketing person. He's the head of our marketing for the Philippines. You can't miss him. Please go say hi to Miko and our amazing HRPC team. So look for Ron Worldwide and HRPC if you're able to attend the PNAA in Iloilo City in the Philippines. Drop by and say hi. Very cold here. Yes, very cold. Yeah, I am not here for the cold, Rita. I just was not built for it. Hello in Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's see. Tennessee is now accepting the OET and the MET, not the PTE. Okay? OET and MET are now accepted by the state of Tennessee, which is huge because they used to just be IELTS and TOEFL only. So congratulations to Tennessee for expanding their testing options. That's awesome. Studying for your IELTS right now, Rita. Awesome. Very, very good. I'd love to hear that you're preparing for your IELTS exam. If you have any of those questions, make sure you pop them in the chat. And then finally, the last update I have for you is the Visa Bulletin. Everybody loves the Visa Bulletin. We all look forward to when the Visa Bulletin comes out, right? Priority dates for the Visa Bulletin were updated by 1 month. They did move forward a month. So they are now for Philippines and the rest of the world other than India and China. Sorry, India and China. You're still way back there. But Philippines and the rest of the world, September 1st, 2022, looking at priority dates of September 1st, 2022 through and previous. So always good news when that moves forward, right? Always good news when the visa bulletin moves forward. All right. I think I've covered all my announcements, Tracy. If I missed any, Tracy's going to put them in the chat like he always does because he's awesome like that. So today's show, I am so excited because we have so many of you out there that watch Kari's Corner, and you always are asking some really great questions about the beginning of the process, about job offers, about recruitment, about what do I need? How many years of experience do I need? Do we have jobs in Tennessee? Do we have jobs in Texas or California or Florida? All of these amazing questions. And I'm over here going, I'm not a recruiter. I can't answer these questions to the best of my ability. So I reached out to personally my favorite recruiter. Don't tell everybody else, but she is my go-to girl. She and I have to chat at least once a day, but she is absolutely amazing. Some of you may have heard from her already. Some of you may be working with her, but today on the show, I have a worldwide recruiter. So have those questions ready. Pop those questions in the chat. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, if you're at the beginning of the process and you're like, I don't know how to start, I don't know what to put on my resume, how do I handle this in an interview? All of those things are going to be answered by today's special guest, and I'm super excited to have Miss Kelsey Robinson on the call. Hey, Kelsey.
Hi, Kari. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. I get so many questions that I feel like are from nurses who are interested in starting the process, who want to start the process, but they just don't know how to start the process. So could we start off by you just kind of giving a general overview of, hey, I'm interested in a job at Worldwide. What does that recruitment process look like?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. I'm always really excited when we have new faces that are interested in what we have to offer and want to start working with our team. If you're an NCLEX passer or you haven't passed the NCLEX yet and you still want to talk with a recruiter in our system, the very first thing you should do is apply on our website. If you go to healthstaff.org, we have a giant apply now button at the top of the screen. You'll click that button and fill out a couple of questions about yourself, your name, your email address, if you've taken the NCLEX, and the most important thing is to submit a copy of your resume. This is super important to submit your resume so we can see where you're currently working, what type of experience that you have, and that so that we can get you connected with the right recruiter. Now, once you've submitted your application, we have an amazing system that will direct you right to one of our recruiters. So if you're an NCLEX passing RN who's working in an acute care setting, you're working in a hospital, maybe you're a med-surg nurse or an ICU nurse, OR, then you're going to get directed to one of our worldwide HealthStaff recruiters. We have a team of, I believe, 9 recruiters right now, all who are willing and ready to take your application and work with you. You'll get an email from them asking some questions and providing you with resources on how to take the next step forward. And so once you're in communication with them, they'll review your resume, see what states you're interested in, and then you guys will be able to have a conversation about what the next steps look like. We usually have a list of hiring opportunities that we update every single day that we have new changes, and your recruiter is going to provide you with this list so you can see which opportunities really interest you. You can see what states we're hiring for, what units we're hiring for, and then you can let your recruiter know, hey, I'm really interested in that opening in that hospital that you have in North Carolina right now. Can we schedule an interview? Now, if you don't see what you're looking for on that list, maybe you're working in a unit that we're not currently hiring for, that's okay. You should still keep talking with your recruiter because your recruiter wants to add you to a wait list so that as soon as we have openings for that unit, we can get you interviewed. So if you're not sure about which openings are best for you or which states you want to go to, talk to your recruiter because they're going to be a great resource to answer those questions for you. Our openings are always changing. We always have new things that are coming up, and we want to make sure that we find the best fit for you. One of the most important things for you to do at this point when you start seeing what kind of openings we have is to do some research on these hospitals. You might see that we're working with Atrium Charlotte or we're working with National Healthcare. You should do some research and see where's this located? What type of hospital is it? is this somewhere I want to live and work? Moving to the US is a big decision, and so making sure that you've done the research to understand the facility that you're going to is one of the most important pieces in the process. Now, if you're a dialysis nurse and you have taken and passed the NCLEX, or you're about to take and pass the NCLEX, we will connect you with one of our great dialysis recruiters through our Philippines team, HRPC. We have a team of, I believe, 5 recruiters on this team that have worked with dialysis nurses for several years now. And we work with 2 of the biggest dialysis centers in the US, DaVita and Fresenius, and that we have other options as well. And so the process will be the same. You'll work with them to find the unit and the state and the facility that's best for you. Now, if you haven't taken
it's a direct hire model, right? Worldwide is a direct hire model. How is that different from probably our bigger competitors? How does that differ as far as the recruiting process is concerned?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So direct hire means that our job is to help connect you with the hospital that you're going to be an employee of. So instead of signing a contract with a staffing agency who would place you at the hospital, you get to sign a contract with the hospital themselves. And so your benefits and salary and offer are exactly the same as a nurse who's here in the US and is applying to that hospital. So your contract will be just like a nurse that's.
That is awesome. We do have a question, and I don't know, it's a great question. I don't know, Kelsey, you might be able to shine some light on it too. They're asking currently, and this is a big hot topic right now. So I think it's Minu. You've asked a big hot topic question, and that's H-1B visas. And if you go back on our YouTube channel, Ron Hoppy did a webinar on all things H-1B visas. And I'm sure as recruiters, you guys get this question a lot. When we are hiring right now, what are we looking for? Are they going to be H-1B visas, or are they going to be EB-3 visas?
Sure. So most of our employers that we're hiring for are offering EB-3 visas. We have one employer right now that we're working with that's offering H-1B. To be eligible, you have to have passed the NCLEX, have your BSN, and you already have to have your visa screen completed. This is because the H-1B process moves so quickly that we need you to have that done before you move forward with the process. You should be looking for an employer that is going to adjust your H-1B to a green card so that you still have that same process. H-1B just helps to get you here a little bit faster.
So the employer that we're working with, will they adjust your on our end, we call it AOS, or adjustment of status. The employer that we're working with, will they help you through the adjustment of status to an EB-3 once you're here?
Absolutely. After about 6 months of working for that employer, they'll begin your adjustment of status process. And that adjustment of status still takes quite a bit of time, but you're here in the US working during that time.
That is absolutely awesome. Can you list again, just so everybody hears it and everybody say it louder for the people in the back? What are the 3 things you need to have in order to apply for our openings through the company that's offering H-1B?
Absolutely. First, you have to have taken and passed your NCLEX exam. You have to have your BSN, and you also have to have a completed visa screen.
Very good. Very good. You hear that, everybody out there? Completed visa screen. That means you need to do your English test. So make sure we're doing all of those wonderful things. I got my girl Arlene in Jamaica tuning in again. I tell Arlene every week, I wish I was there. Oh, I wish I was there, Arlene, in Jamaica. Whoa. So getting back to kind of our process and all of that, wonderful, wonderful stuff in our process. You said one of the first things you do is you submit a resume. What would you say are the top 3 things that candidates need to make sure they're including on their resume?
Absolutely. The top 3 things to include on your resume, first is your education. Do you have a diploma in nursing, a bachelor's degree in nursing, or a master's degree in nursing? You should include your education. The second most important thing is your experience. We want to know all the different units that you've worked in, and most importantly, your current experience. So make sure you include the unit that you're in, your nurse to patient ratio is super helpful, and a list of the duties that you're performing. And then the third most important thing is your NCLEX license information. This helps your recruiter to validate that you do have your NCLEX and what state you've taken it in to make sure that you're eligible for opportunities that we have.
Absolutely. And I always encourage nurses, once you've taken your NCLEX and you've passed your NCLEX, go ahead. There are some states, we have them listed on our website. Go ahead and get that state license because it is so much easier to apply for a job. If you're applying, and employers, I'm sure, look at this too. It's much easier to apply for a job through licensure by what we call endorsement, meaning you already have an active US license and you will be endorsing it to another state, versus applying for licensure by examination. And that's where you take the NCLEX. If you don't have that license, there is a score transfer process that our licensure team is happy to walk you through. But it's just an added step that can take longer, and it'll take longer for you to get to work. So when you take your NCLEX and you pass that NCLEX, go ahead and get your state license.
Yep.
It just makes life so much easier.
One question that we get asked a lot is, well, I took my NCLEX in New York. Am I only eligible for New York opportunities? And that's not the case. We have a great licensure team that can help you. So we can help you get your license endorsed in whatever state you get hired in. So open yourself up to opportunities in a lot of different states.
Absolutely. What are some questions that they kind of need to think about? So when we say literally you're open to, obviously, of course, it's limited to where our job openings are, but what are some things that they need to take into consideration when they're looking at places they would like to be employed?
Absolutely. So one of the first things that I would look at is, what type of facility are you going to be working at? Is it a hospital setting or is it a long-term care facility? And is that a place that you're excited to work at and where you want to build your career? These employers are looking for nurses that are going to come and start their career here. And so you want to find a hospital that is a good fit for you. The second thing to look at is the safety of the area. And if it's somewhere that you think that you would be happy to live in, and if you have a family that's coming with you, if there's opportunities for your family there. So looking into the schools in the area, other job opportunities for your spouse, those are great things to look at. And if you're like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to look at to find that information, ask your recruiter. Your recruiter has some great websites and information that they'd be happy to share with you. And then the final thing is the different regions of the US. Now, a lot of people choose their state by weather, and that's an important thing to discuss with your recruiter. If you're like Kari and you want to be somewhere warm all the time, signing a job offer in maybe Minnesota or North Dakota might not be the best state for you. So make sure to talk to your recruiter about that before you sign your job offer, to make sure that you're in a state that you're really happy with.
Absolutely. Those are some great things. And again, how long are the contracts? When you get a job offer, how long is the contract good for?
Absolutely. All of our contracts are for 36 months, so 3 years with that employer. And then after that time, it will be between you and the employer if you decide to continue your career with that employer. I think all of our employers are looking for nurses that are really excited to build their career in the US. And so if you hope to stay with an employer longer than that, I think you won't have any trouble staying on with that hospital as an employee.
Absolutely. So, but is it okay? Like, let's say that, because you never know sometimes until you get somewhere, right? Sometimes you buy a new pair of shoes and they feel great in the store. And then you get home and you're like, these are hurting my feet. So you've lasted your 36 months. Is it okay to say, I think we're going to move and we're going to try somewhere else? How hard is it for an internationally educated nurse to, with 36 months of US experience under their belt, to move to another state?
Absolutely. I think it's something that we have happen often. You've moved to one area of the US, maybe you have family that's now in a different state and you want to be closer to them. That's absolutely an option for you. By this point, you will already have your green card. Your spouse and your children, if you come with your family, will have their green cards. And so you'll be able to apply directly to any facility in the US. You won't need to go through us to find that facility. You can just apply to that facility directly. And so you'll have a lot of opportunity to switch hospitals or careers if that's what you decide at the end of your contract.
That is very, very good to know. One of the things that I always, a tip that I was given when I was interviewing for jobs was, at the end of your interview, you always get the opportunity to ask your employer a question or your potential employer a question. What are some questions that, I'm putting you on the spot here, Kelsey, what are some questions that you would suggest that our candidates ask their employers?
Absolutely. I think that if you interview and you don't ask questions, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Of course, they're interviewing you to make sure that you're a good fit for their facility, but you also should make sure that this is a place that you want to work. Some of the best questions that I recommend are, what does the interviewer like about working at that hospital? They've probably been there a long time and they can tell you, yeah, I really like working here because of these things. Ask them about the area that they live in. Your recruiter might not have lived in that particular city or even that state, and so that interviewer is going to have firsthand personal information about what it's like to live in that city. And then the last thing that I would really recommend asking them about is about the nurse to patient ratio on that unit, or what a typical day looks like in that unit. Your recruiter will have some information about the job and that unit, but they don't always have the nurse to patient ratios or the day-to-day descriptions. And that's something I'd really encourage asking about. Now, two things that I would recommend not asking about in your interview are asking about salary and asking about immigration process. This is because your interviewer probably doesn't have this information. The salary is usually decided by someone else at the hospital, and the immigration process is handled by our team. So if you have questions about salary or about the immigration process, ask those to your recruiter before your interview, or wait until after your interview to ask your recruiter those questions.
So when you get your job offer or you're looking for job offers, two things here really. One, is it fair to compare job offers? Like if you get a job offer, and I know a lot of you out there have friends who are also going through the process or who have already been through the process. Is it fair to compare your job offers? Would probably be the first question I have.
Sure. I really recommend against comparing job offers unless you and your friend are at the same exact hospital in the same exact unit. Otherwise, each unit and each hospital has different job offers, and the cost of living in US states is all different. So a nurse might get an offer for $28 in one state, and another nurse might get an offer for $45 in a different state. That doesn't always mean that one of them is better than the other, because the cost of living might be lower in that state where you got a lesser job offer. So it's important to take into consideration the area that you're going to be living in, because the cost of living is different in US states. And if you're like, I don't really know how to see if this is a good job offer, ask your recruiter. Your recruiter has seen job offers from this hospital or this state, and they can tell you, and they'll be honest with you and say, I think that this is a great offer, or maybe it is a little bit low, but look, they have great shift differentials. They offer education assistance and these other benefits that really help to outweigh it. And so it's important to look at the picture as a whole.
Absolutely. And then if you are, I hear a lot of people are like, I want to live in New York City, or I want to live in LA. And because those are big, obviously,
Sure.
cities that people see on TV shows and all that other kind of fun stuff across the world. Not hating on LA or New York City. You could not pay me to live in either one. I don't know about you, Kelsey. I don't know if I could do it. Too many people. But some people really want to live there. If you're considering, when you're looking at your job offer and you're looking at your letter, and if you're coming with a family, you also have to think about cost of living and a single income for a little while, right?
Right. Yeah, I would really recommend staying away from some of those really large cities in the US. They're fun places to live and probably have a lot of busyness going on, but the cost of living in those areas is going to be really high. And I think that you would find it will be harder to adjust to living in such a massive US city. I really recommend looking for a US city that's a little bit smaller, still has probably a good bus system, good schools, lower cost of living. Those are really important things to look at when you're looking at moving to a new city. One thing that people are worried about when they move to a new city is, am I going to find a community of other people, maybe from my country or different things like that? I really recommend Facebook groups. There's a Facebook group out there for everything. And so doing research like that before you move to a new area is highly recommended.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to kind of keep an eye on some questions that we have, like people kind of popping in and asking questions. NCLEX preparation, free practice or free preparation for NCLEX is in the USA. We do have an NCLEX scholars program. Tracy can probably post the link for more information on that. We do have that, but it's a very specific type of nurse that we're looking for that program. So I do want to say that. Rachel Allen is who we see a lot of. They're at a lot of the same events that we are. So if you have NCLEX questions, Rachel Allen. There's also, Tracy always posts it, there's a free something world YouTube channel for NCLEX people that we always promote too. It's free and they have a lot of UWorld Nursing. There it is. Thank you so much. UWorld Nursing is another great NCLEX preparation opportunity as well.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
I was just going to say, one of the questions I see here from Janice is a question we get asked all the time. Should I be currently employed in the hospital? The answer to that is yes. We cannot help you schedule an interview if you're not currently working in a bedside nursing setting. This is because employers want to make sure that you're going to be working throughout your immigration process. So just because you were employed as a nurse maybe last year, by the time you get to the US, it'll be a year or maybe 2 years before you've had current bedside experience. And I think we all know that nursing practices change over time. And so it's very important that you're currently working in a bedside setting and that you plan to do so throughout your immigration process.
How do employers look at when people take time off? Because I know it's very common for nurses. I hear nurses asking, how much time should I take off to prepare for my English exam? How much time should I take off to prepare for the NCLEX? Those types of things. How do employers perceive that when nurses take time off to do those academic type things?
Sure. If you haven't yet signed a contract with a US-based employer, you're not yet working through our process, it's totally normal to take some time off to prepare for one of your exams, but you do have to return to a bedside setting before we can help you get scheduled for an interview. Now, if you're currently in process with us, maybe you're working with Kari to take your English exam, it's very important that you stay working in a bedside nursing setting, and your case manager will be able to tell you exactly how many hours a week or how much time you should be working. But like I said, it's important to maintain that current bedside experience.
Yeah, obviously employers are going to, if you are pregnant or you're giving birth or if you've suffered a loss in your family, like those types of leaves of absences or bereavement or motherhood, like those type, obviously employers, they're not going to hold that against you. I'm pretty sure it's against the law in the United States to hold that against you. So don't think that you just had a baby and you have to go back to work next week. No, we do take that into consideration. Employers take that into consideration as well. I had a great, every time I have like a great question in the back of my head and I lose it every single time.
One of the questions I see here from Saul is asking about how long it will take for the approval from the Department of Labor. This is a very individual and case-by-case basis. This is something that you'll work with your case manager. A lot of it depends on the facility, making sure they have all their documentation in place, and from you, making sure that you get all your documents submitted to your case manager on time. So it's not really easy to say it's going to take exactly this amount of time or this amount of time. Working with your case manager to get accurate timelines for your specific employer is super important.
Is it okay to turn down a job offer? And if so,
absolutely,
does that kick you to the back of the line again, or what does that look like? Because I don't want our nurses to feel like, oh my gosh, I got a job offer, I have to take this. This is going to be my only opportunity ever. Absolutely.
I think it's totally okay to turn down a job offer. But some of the reasons that we see people turn down job offers, like, well, I'm not really interested in this hospital, or I'm not really interested in this city, those are things that you should look at before you interview. So before you say, okay, I want to interview with this hospital in Pennsylvania, you should make sure that Pennsylvania is a place that you want to live. By the time you get a job offer, you should know this is a hospital I want to work at, and this is an employer that I want to work for. Now, if you turn down your job offer because maybe the salary isn't right, or you have concerns about something with the job offer, talk to your recruiter before you turn down your offer letter. They might be able to handle your concerns, answer any questions that you have, and really make sure you have all the information before turning down your job offer. If you do decide to turn down your job offer, it's totally okay. Your recruiter is going to work with you until they find the perfect fit for you. They also will tell you, like, hey, just so you know, if you turn down this offer, I don't have another opportunity right away for you, or I don't have another opportunity maybe in this state that you're looking for, or in this unit that you're looking for, but I will make sure you're on my wait list so that if we have other opportunities come up, we'll be able to get you lined up for that.
Awesome. I saw a question about the OET in Illinois. It's a great question. I get all those. I'm sure Kelsey gets those questions too. Probably the number one question Kelsey gets is, does that state accept the PTE? I got a question about the OET over here in Illinois. That, again, anytime you ask, is this exam accepted by this state? It's not a question that we can just point blank answer. It's going to depend on how you're applying for licensure. If you're applying for licensure by endorsement, then yes, Illinois will accept the OET. I think that was my girl Arlene who answered that question, or who asked that question. Do we have any openings for physical therapists?
Right now, I don't think that we do, but that doesn't mean you still shouldn't apply. Get your resume in our system and get connected with one of our recruiters. We're constantly opening different opportunities, and so making sure that you're connected with our team is super important.
Yeah, that's, I think, step one for everyone. If you're interested in seeing that list and seeing is that like something that if you're kind of on a mailing list, like, do we send out this week, here are our job openings? Like, do we send that out, or how does that work?
Sure. So it kind of depends on which opening or which type of recruiter that you're working with. If you're an acute care RN who's passed the NCLEX, your recruiter will send you a link to job openings, and you can check that link anytime. Now, if you're a medical laboratory technician or technologist, or maybe a physical therapist, you'll be working with one of our dedicated recruiters in that area who will say, we don't have any openings right now, but in the future, here's what we have, or here's the employer that we're working with right now.
Okay. What about, I'm looking at a nephrology nurse. Sure. Is that something that we see a lot of as far as applicants are concerned?
Yeah, we often have openings in nephrology. Again, speaking with your recruiter, getting your application in and seeing what type of facility that you're working in, what type of patients that you're working with will help us determine to see if we have an opening that fits right for you.
Absolutely. I know that in nursing, even you guys throw terms out all the time. You're like, I'm this type of nurse. And I have to Google, what part of the body does that person work with? I have no clue what that is. So that's what Kelsey is saying, submit your application, submit your resume, and then we will hook you up with the recruiter who is right for that department. And they will send you the job postings, availabilities, and all that kind of thing. So step one is really, you got to apply. If you want to be in the know, you got to apply so that we can start working with you. Someone else, working as an admin or unit manager, a unit manager. So we're looking for, as far as I know, we're looking for bedside care,
absolutely
patient care, not management care, not right. Are you managing nurses? We're looking are you directly working with patients?
Exactly. Kari, I see a question here about accepting diploma nurses. We do have several employers that we work with that will accept a 3-year diploma instead of a BSN. Now, you still have to have NCLEX to be eligible, but we do have several employers that we work with that will accept a 3-year diploma instead of a BSN.
That's something that I've learned a lot about because in the United States, we have what we call an associate's degree, the associate's degree in nursing, and then you have your bachelor's degree in nursing. And so I've had to learn a lot about the diploma nursing roles versus the bachelor's degree in nursing roles. So can you talk real quick, just so that everybody kind of understands the diploma nursing, this is what that is, bachelor's, this is what this is.
Sure. A diploma is typically a 3-year program, and a bachelor's is usually a 4-year program. That's usually the biggest difference between the two. Now, some nurses might have a 3-year program, and then they have an additional year or 2 years that give them the equivalent of a bachelor's degree. Again, this is one of the things you will want to talk with your recruiter about to make sure that you're eligible.
That's why through the process, we'll ask for what's called a Carnegie evaluation. And that's when we're going to look at your academic equivalence and see what does that compare to as far as the United States is concerned. And that's going to depend, help our recruiters determine which jobs you're able to apply for. Does experience matter when interviewing or selecting for hemodialysis nursing?
Absolutely. I believe that our dialysis employers currently require at least 1 year of dialysis experience. So if you've got a year of dialysis and you're currently working in dialysis, you should be eligible for those opportunities if you've taken or passed the NCLEX. Again, you'll work one-on-one with your recruiter to make sure that your experience is a good fit.
This is a great question, and I'm sure you guys see it all the time. I think you see the one I'm looking at from Edith. Let's say you're currently working in rehab, right? But most of your experience, like Edith, is in a different department. Edith is in NICU and she wants to return to NICU. If you're applying, how does that work? Like, and she wants to return to NICU, but she's currently doing something different.
Right. So right now, all of our employers require you to be currently working in the type of unit that you want to interview for. So if you want to be a NICU nurse in the US, you need to be currently working in NICU. What I usually recommend for my nurses that are in a similar situation, Edith, is that you request at your current hospital to transition into the unit that you currently want to work in. If that's not an option for you right now, then we can talk with you about rehab and long-term care opportunities, help you get interviewed and an offer from an employer in those types of units. And then once you finish your contract with that employer, you could then look for NICU opportunities here in the US. But right now, all of our employers require you to be actively working in the type of unit that you're interviewing for.
Absolutely. There was another question after hers that I'm going to have to kind of see if I can scroll up for. Lots of good questions coming in. I love it. Oh, what is the response time for our recruiting team? Like, let's kind of give everybody out there just a general idea of how many resumes we receive a day. Remember, right. You said we have 9 recruiters in the US and 5 at HRPC who handle our dialysis nurses. About how many resumes do we receive a day, and how does that relate to our response time?
Absolutely. We receive hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes a day, but that doesn't mean that we're still not dedicated to responding to you. Our typical response time is usually 24 to 48 hours, but like Kari mentioned, we had a holiday this week, and our team doesn't typically work on the weekend, so there might be times where you have a longer response time. If you don't hear from somebody within that time frame, make sure to check your spam folder. It's often our first email goes to spam because it's the first time we're interacting with you. Also, if you don't hear from someone, you can always email us at recruiting@healthstaff.org. We have a team that runs that inbox and will make sure to get you connected with the right recruiter. We also have a live chat on our website and Facebook messaging. You can contact us any of those ways if you don't get a response right away. On this vein, making sure that your email address is typed correctly on your resume, that's what we're going to use to contact you. And I've seen a lot of times where someone's missing a letter or missing a period from their email address. That will keep us from sending you that initial email. So make sure your email address is correct on your resume.
Absolutely. Tracy, if you don't mind popping that like recruiter email in the chat so that everybody can have access to that. Lots of questions. Do we have employers in Utah, Nevada, Arizona? Absolutely, we have employers. We have employers in all 50 states, I believe, including Hawaii, Alaska.
Absolutely.
Polar bears.
Yep. Some of them are dialysis opportunities. Some of them are acute care. So if you want a state that your recruiter says isn't available for your type of unit, your recruiter will make sure to get you on a wait list for those opportunities.
This is a great question from Rita. Do I need to pass my IELTS and NCLEX before applying? So no, is kind of the easy answer for that. But it does, as far as passing the NCLEX and having the NCLEX, definitely does kind of bump your resume up as far as, like Kelsey said, we're receiving thousands of resumes a day. How many of those resumes are NCLEX passers? You want to be in the NCLEX passer group. It's easier to find a job, right? If you've already got the NCLEX, opens more doors.
If you want to work as an RN in the US, NCLEX is required. If you're open to taking the certified nursing aide route instead and getting employed as a CNA, you can apply without NCLEX. We do have a long wait list for those opportunities right now.
Yeah, our nurse aide program it's great, but it's a longer process. So to get over here faster and open more doors. As far as IELTS is concerned, I always, every state is different. Shout out to all the boards of nursing. Love you guys, mean it. Every state is different. Some states require what's called a current exam result, and IELTS and all English tests have a shelf life of 2 years, meaning they expire after 2 years. So if you are just beginning the process, I would focus on like Kelsey said, I would be doing my research right now on where I want to go, what are the job opportunities, start looking at that. And then let's say you might end up at a state that accepts a litany of exams. They accept all of the exams. So you might not have to take IELTS. You could take PTE, OET, MET. So as far as I know, Kelsey, recruiters don't really ask, like, have you taken your English exam yet? Like, is that something they ask or that they really care about?
English exam is not required to interview. You'll take that during your immigration process with help from Kari and the resources that she offers. The only time it's required before you interview is for our H-1B opportunities, because you have to have your visa screen, which includes the English exam, before you interview.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do look at nurses as well. It does help with the NCLEX process. You'll be getting what's called your ATT, or your approval to test. So that does help as well. That is a question that we may ask too. Like, are you taking the NCLEX? Do you have your approval to test? Like all of those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Leslie asked we have so many questions. Do we help spouses get jobs in the USA? So at Worldwide, we have a team that sees you. You start with Kelsey and her amazing recruiting team, and we go all the way through what's called our candidate support team, and our relocation team. And we do provide information as far as helping a spouse get a job. We will ask about your spouse, and we can provide you tips and tricks, but we can't necessarily like set up interviews for your spouse or do anything like that, unless they're a nurse.
Right. The great thing there, though, is that your spouse, as long as they're added to your visa petition, will have their green card like you do when you get to the U.S. So they will be able to apply with any open opportunities in the U.S. They can go on job boards and apply for interviews.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they should start, once you get kind of your embassy date and you start getting those dates, they need to start looking ASAP. Once you've got your job offer and this is a real thing and it's happening, tell them to go ahead and start looking, because as the immigration process takes time, so does the job process in the United States. It also takes a bit of time. Don't expect to just come to work, arrive, and then start working immediately the next day. So make sure you plan for that as well. What else? Can public health nurses write the NCLEX?
That's a great question. Usually NCLEX is determined by the level of education that you have. So if you have a bachelor's degree in nursing or even a 3-year diploma in nursing, typically you can take the NCLEX. We don't administer the NCLEX, so I recommend checking the NCLEX website for all the requirements and the information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Do we offer a job with healthcare assistance?
Typically for spouses, they'll need to get the job themselves once they have their green card. Like I said, our healthcare assistant openings, we have a long wait list for that. So I'd recommend bringing your spouse on your petition. They'll get their green card and then they can apply for jobs. They might even be able to apply for a job at the facility that you're going to work at if they have openings for assistance. It just means that we might not be hiring for assistance for that hospital.
Absolutely. That's a great tip. The final question, and I keep seeing this one pop up about premium processing or regular. I know that retrogression impacted whether or not, premium processing, I hate to say it this way, was worth it. Mm-hmm. Someone asked, what's causing retrogression? Government. I kind of just can say one word there. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there as to what's causing retrogression. But without getting too deep into politics and all the fun things happening in the United States, it's an election year, all the things happening in the United States. So I can't really answer the question of what is causing retrogression, but we can talk about premium processing and if that's something we do or do not offer. What's the update there, Kelsey?
Sure. Right now, our employers are not offering premium processing if you sign a job offer right now and moving forward, because it's just not going to help speed up your process right now. If they pay for the premium processing, it would be a payment that's made that is not going to help speed up your process. Now, if you're in process and the visa bulletin becomes current and our attorneys advise that we do premium processing, then your employer will have the option to do it at that time. Kari, one question that I've seen asked a couple of times that I think is a really great one. Anna says, can we choose a state that we want to? Yes, Anna, you can. Your recruiter is going to provide you with a list of the openings that we have that meet your qualifications, and then you can choose out of those states that we have available. If they are offering states that you're not interested in and you're like, I have family that lives in Iowa, I really want to be in Iowa, then your recruiter can add you to a wait list for that state that you're requesting.
Absolutely. So I know Kelsey, she has so many of your resumes now that she's actually got to look through. So I don't want to take up all of Kelsey's time this morning because you guys are asking some phenomenal questions. So I'll take the last two. One is, do we have any I do get this question a lot, any mental health nursing openings? Do we hire mental health nurses?
Absolutely. We work with several hospitals that hire psych nurses. NCLEX is still required. Current bedside experience is still required, or current experience in a psych unit or a psych ward. But yes, we do. We hire for these units pretty regularly.
And then finally, this is, I think, a great question. Do we prioritize applications based on country of birth? So if you're from a certain country, are we going to prioritize your application? And what is our answer to that, Kelsey?
Absolutely not. We accept applications from every country. The only things that you will have concerns about with country of birth is visa retrogression, but that's not caused or controlled by our agency. So we will take applications from any country. If there are concerns, visa retrogression concerns in your country, your recruiter will notify you of that. But that's the only thing that where a country of birth would, cause any issues for your process. But no, we do not prioritize applications based on country of birth.
Absolutely. Holy smokes, Kelsey, we've been talking for almost an hour. Thank you so much. We've gotten so many great questions today. There are so many of you out there who are viewing this live and you are popping those questions in the chat. Please know that every single week, I'm not live with Kelsey. We might have to have Kelsey on like once a month with all of these questions. But I am live and Tracy is on the other end answering those questions in the chat live. And if you ask me any of these questions during the week and I may not be able to answer them, I have direct access to Kelsey, believe it or not. So if any week, if you're unable to catch this live and you're watching a recording of this and you have questions, I am live every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. That's Eastern New York City time zone. And you are always welcome to ask any of these questions any week. We are happy to answer them. I'm happy to pop them over to Kelsey and get an answer. Tracy sometimes even does that like during the show. He'll run over and ask questions during the show so that he can get you guys some answers. So, but Kelsey, again, I knew you would be a wealth of knowledge and you would have answers to every single question that was asked today. Let's, hopefully everybody over there is giving Kelsey big rounds of applause, all the hearts, all the love, so much for coming on the show today and taking your time. Any final words or final tips for any of our applicants out there, Kelsey? What you got?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me today, Kari. It's always exciting to see what you're doing and what you're up to. If your question wasn't answered or you want to get in touch with a recruiter, submit your application today, submit your resume. We want to get you in touch with somebody that can answer your questions. And so if you have questions, just submitting your application doesn't mean that you're signing a contract with us or anything. It just means we're going to get you in touch with the right person to answer your questions. And we would love to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelsey, for joining me today. It was a great time. I learned so much today in Kari's Corner. So hopefully I might be able to start answering a few of those recruiting questions. But again, most of them are going to go to Kelsey. For those of you, again, I'm so sorry if you just joined, but this will be replaying on all of our social media. If you have not yet applied, Tracy just put that link in the chat so you are able to apply with Worldwide. You may not get to work directly with Kelsey, but we do have 8 other recruiters on the US side, and we have an HRPC team on the other side of the pond that does a great job of responding to all of your questions. So thank you everyone for stumbling into my corner today. I'm so thankful again to Kelsey and our recruiting team. And just a friendly reminder, don't face the corner, face the world. I'll see you next week where I answer the burning question, what is the easiest English exam? Boom. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.